Hello everyone, welcome and thank you for all of your very diligent company, and we are moving very speedily on the Perfection Wisdom text. Next few sessions we're going to combine a little bit of meditation because the subject that we will cover are not that much detail to talk about, but it actually assumes the people practitioners to have a lot of actual experiential meditation on the topics that we have discussed. So therefore, I'm going to lead the meditation to combine with our prayers as we do them, as well as I'll ask you to become like the teachings of last week, talking about how to armor your six paramitas in engaging them, not just in formal meditation, but also in outside the post meditation, how we should armor all the six paramitas as practice. So we will first do the refuge and the prayers, and then I will just summarize what we have covered in the last three terms and so far, before we move for next five more sessions, six more sessions to concluding tonight. So we will definitely finish the text by the end of this term. But I want to, everybody, I believe everybody has been right from the very beginning. Even if not, I want to summarize that in this teaching tonight. This teaching first before we move on you, so that you can actually use it as a conscientious meditation as we are doing the teachings. First, of course, is the refuge and faith. We talked about the people having to have faith to practice perfection wisdom. Remember, at the very beginning, maybe we spent about 4 or 5 sessions talking about the importance of the faith to those who should become suitable vessel to comprehend, to understand, and to actually realize them. They need to have the faith, and that faith in this case is, of course, faith in the triple gem. And so we need to therefore bring our very conscious awareness of the gemness of the Buddha and gemness of the Dharma, and even more gemness of the unbroken lineage of the Sangha. So, and then of course gemness of Dharma that actually influences us, that really helps us, are coming through the unbroken transmission lineage. Therefore, we are much more devoted and very grateful. And so, when we do the refuge, we should always have that kind of activation of your faith, activation of your confidence, and you truly believe in the Dharma, and we do. But we could still bring a little bit more sharper, a bit more vivid. And we say, yeah, I'm blue, I'm always believer sort of thing. Sometimes your mind could be refreshed, more vivid. You wouldn't believe it. Your skin will glow and your eyes will brightly open. You will brighten yourself up when you really implement and armor your faith, your bodhicitta, and even when we're listening and doing the prayers, we are employing all the 6 paramitas, with the absence of, it says to have the qualities minus the 6 antitheses of the 6 paramitas, so that there's no sort of laziness, there's no distraction, there's none of the opposite of the 6, but you're doing them, not just prayer, but even when you're listening. Even I'm trying to tell myself more than really, because I'm trying to tell myself, say, when I'm teaching, if I'm integrating all the 6 parameters, I'm in a much better space, and then it probably will come out also a little bit much more sharp and intelligible and useful and to your mind. But if your mind is also like that, just imagine that. Imagine the deadly double. Deadly double. Your mind is also very, very enthused, very, very bodhicitta orientated, without any of the antithesis like laziness or any of that, and not scattered mind or not confused mind, but very focused, very sharp. And then, of course, Rongton's text, and that I'm trying to go, this could quite bring up the very experiences, armoring the bodhicitta in action. So we shouldn't be listening to this teaching as we are learning, listening all these instructions and trying to remember them. We try to actually do them even when we're listening to them. We actually know exactly what we're talking about. It's just like we are guided to facilitate our mind to think along those lines of these armored bodhicitta with great faith and devotion. Talking about suitable vessels with the faith, and then generating the genuine motivation by virtue of listening and by virtue of giving and the like. May I reach Buddhahood to aid all beings. So the actual words are very expressive, but mine need to be even more clearly focused on the meaning, so that we actually engender the bodhicitta. The bodhicitta that we cultivate is tested and improving and very sharp, and as a result of that the time we spent in the class is actually molding our mind, our attitudes. Our attitudes are very armored, and we have a spiritual friend in the way we think. It's not somebody out there, but the spiritual friend that is inside us. Not because we couldn't find the enlightened spiritual friend. We have human spiritual friend, but most important spiritual friend is our self-realizational. So we need to bring that self-realization during the very cooperative, the mind itself, as we do in this teaching and listening and meditating. So with this, we will first do those prayers, and then then as I give summary of all the things what we've done so far, I want you to think like that, not only in this session, but even when you're doing other things, you try to see how you can incorporate all of these things into your everyday activities. You might be doing fairly normal, ordinary things, but your kind of your aptitude or your vividness and your clarity of the mind and how it engages is very much improvised, very much empowered by the teachings. The teaching is to teach us, to empower us. It's just like charging the battery. It's no point charging battery every week, but actually battery itself is not being used. Battery itself is just used to eat and feed and clothe and wash and just going to the bathroom and going to the kitchen and sit there. And it's not that kind of thing. That while those things are happening, you seem to have a completely different kind of sharpness in your mental faculty. So this is actually expected of these lessons that we are talking in this level of this perfection wisdom. So let's anyway thank you everyone and join. I'm just reminding, but you're doing very well. I'm pretty sure that the more I can say, more it helps me. So I don't know how much you might say, gosh, come on, go, stop it. We heard that so many times. Go on the topic today. What's new for us? If you're doing that, I need to say these things. Okay, sorry. It's just... Oh, yenda Buddha Dharma Vazanga Ajere And the cause of happiness, may they be free from suffering. And the cause of suffering, may they never from the happiness that no suffering, may they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all be happiness and the cause of happiness, may they be free from suffering. And the cause of suffering, may they never part from the happiness that no suffering, may they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all be happiness and the cause of happiness, may they be free from suffering. And the cause of suffering, may they never part from the happiness that no suffering, may they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to the near and God and the position of where are the Yachandandarama Agrelo Hakama Vigos. So just to summarize what we have done so far, this perfection of wisdom that Rongton had divided into two main parts. First is the preliminary. The preliminary, we spent quite a lot of time, the importance of the faith, how important faith is. Faith isn't talking about blind faith, faith with a reason. Faith by examining the teachings and then using one's own kind of a rational mind, and that actually sees how valid and how true and how bitter truth the Dharma is, how true Dharma is, and then we become in many times awed and inspired and motivated. Only if we can practice Dharma, it would be amazing. That kind of a certitude and an attitude that you have of Dharma, and it's just sit in your core of your life, and that makes you to give your valuable company to this kind of sessions again and again, week after week. This is the faith. This is the suitable vessel that Rongton spent quite a deal of time discussing, as we spent at least 5 sessions when we just on that. So that's first, and the main practice is the then divided into 10 chapters. First is the generation of bodhicitta. So that is the big chapter. Generation of bodhicitta is because perfection of wisdom is basically paramita. Paramita meaning perfection wisdom. Perfection is paramita of the perfection of wisdom, the 6 paramitas. So to practice the 6 paramitas, 6 paramita is engaged bodhicitta, but before you engage yourself in the practice of perfection of paramita, 6 perfection, you have to first engender the bodhicitta itself. So generation of bodhicitta itself. So I talked a lot about what bodhicitta is, and particularly what intentional bodhicitta is, and why that is the very distinct motivation of the practitioner is the bodhicitta. And then it talked about all the precepts of bodhicitta. And then we talked a lot about the concept of armoring the bodhicitta. Yeah, armoring the bodhicitta. And then it also talked about a great deal about the spiritual friend. Yeah, importance of spiritual friend, and it made a distinction about the spiritual friend, the enlightened spiritual friend, and human spiritual friend, and wisdom spiritual friend. Wisdom is that you self-realize. Yourself-realize the wisdom of the teachings that you heard through the human teacher, whose teaching come through the enlightened teachings of the Buddha, because the perfection wisdom teaching is primarily Buddha's teachings, and then come down through the lineage. So therefore, it talked about the importance of self-realization. And then once you have a good spiritual friend, is one who teaches you the importance of bodhicitta and altruism, and then you really got the gem, Otherwise, even you take refuge, you might take refuge for the sake of your higher rebirth or afraid of lower rebirth, and so fairly kind of a low scope mentality with which people practice spirituality for themselves, afraid of lower rebirth, so they wanted to be in the higher realms or heavens and things like that. Most people want to go to heaven, it's quite impressive. Most people say, "I want to go there too." And later you realize, God, wanting to go to heaven for yourself is a pretty lowest of the lowest motivation. so even if you have refuge, but if your purpose is to go for heaven so that you can get there ahead of everyone, it's pretty selfish. so until we really hear the bodhicitta, even much of the Buddhist practice often is people practicing. Most traditional Buddhists are believers in pure realms. They all want to be in the pure realm. They all want to be born in pure realm. And I used to be among them for so many years. I said, wow, yeah, every day you plant your prayers so that you can be born higher. Later on, we realize it's one of the lowest kind of intention so that you can go to heaven, and then never mind everyone else type of thing. So now once you have heard bodhicitta that teaches you, and the teacher that teaches the importance of bodhicitta, which is altruistic motivation for the benefit of all sentient beings, not just for yourself, even to reach pure realms or higher rebirth, is completely not. That's the kind of article. That's the person of lesser intelligence. So then we are taught about the importance of the bodhicitta, and then the 20 analogy word. We went through the 20 analogies, yeah? 20 analogies. First 3 of the analogies all about wishing bodhicitta. There should be like a earth and gold and waxing moon type of thing. And then engaging bodhicitta should be like a fire. So that takes care of the first 4 analogies. So then we've been using those first 3 analogies to ensure that your motivation is carefully well grounded like earth. You really know how all sufferings come from self-centeredness, and all goodness comes from selflessness. And only difference is look at the ordinary beings and Buddha. Buddha worked for the benefit of others selflessly for many eons as a bodhisattva. Ordinary sentient beings have been incessantly just doing for themselves, are still stuck in the quagmire of samsara. So therefore we need to sort of drop the selfish motivation and pick up the altruistic motivation. And so one who has that sense of grounding, so the ground of earth, the earth-like bodhicitta, means that's very, very, very most fundamental to have is that intention, that your determination to practice Dharma is motivated by the bodhicitta. And then as you practice them, when you test your bodhicitta in everyday life situation, you would find that, you would find whether it's your bodhicitta motivation at the very beginning our motivation is very good. All of a sudden we just shift, we don't have any of that. So it's like if unarmored like gold, if you're armored like gold bodhicitta, then it is getting better, as you work with the difficult sentient beings. If you work with a difficult situation, your bodhicitta is increasing even more than at the initially it's sort of very, very, a lot of people are very cheerful at the beginning, and quickly then the true color shows, when there's difficulties, when people with the karma meets, as they don't have their own karma, and then they really turn aluminium, maybe brass, and no gold there whatsoever. So the bodhicitta that is really tested is when things get really, really tough, really, really difficult. That time you need to have this goal-like, untarnishable altruism. So that's the second analogy, isn't it? And then as you practice today, we practice day after, you practice even 20 years you practice with someone, you still have you're still waxing. Your bodhicitta is never waxing. It's just that your fitness to have that may be a little bit sometimes not quite strong and go flat, but there's no danger of relapsing. You never give up on sentient beings because you have reached the armored bodhicitta of making it very, very stronger. And the more difficulties people may put you through, that much you increase your bodhicitta. So waxing like a moon, very good. Sometimes, of course, you might feel a little bit down, you're not quite adequate, but within 4 hours or so, you just, Bodhisattva must not let your mind lose bodhicitta within 4 hours. If you 4 hours finish, then it's not good. 6 hours rather, 6 hours. 6 is 24 hours. So if you did 6 hours every time, review 6 hours 4 times a day, and then your bodhicitta will not go, it will not wane, it will wax. So those are the three very first analogies. Then when you engage your bodhicitta, should be like the fire. So up to that, we spent mostly the first term and part of the second up to that, and then the main part of the second term we went through the 10 parameters. 10 parameters. That's the engaged bodhicitta. So the engaged bodhicitta is the actual parameters, and that's why I call perfection of generosity, dana paramita. And so we went through each of the 6 parameters, 6 parameters corresponding to the 6 analogies, and then we went through the additional 4 parameters after generosity, self-discipline, patience, diligence, meditative concentration, wisdom. These are 6 parameters. Then we went through the skillful method, aspiration, power, and transcendental wisdom. So altogether 10 parameters. So with the 10 parameters, so we went through all the 10 parameters and talking how each of them Rongton went through very beautifully. So you all got the text before you, that how each of the parameter should be looked within the context of the 4 noble truths. Laying the foundation of the 4 noble truths, and making sure that it has the 6 qualities, and so on and so forth. So each of the 6 parameters we discuss in depth. So that very much took all the second term, and then so that is the first chapter. First chapter basically took all of the first two terms, and then at the beginning of third term, we started the second chapter, which is the main practice. The main practice itself is the meditation. Main practice is the meditation on the 3 thorough doors of liberation. 3 thorough doors of liberation we have to practice. So because it expects you, after having done all the 10 parameters, now you are meditating on the emptiness, And so we went through. So the lesson, term number 3, we went through that, and then we talked about actual practice of the meditation on perfection of wisdom. That emptiness, signlessness, wishlessness. So you have to meditate on the emptiness of self, emptiness of phenomena, and as a result of that, you also try to meditate on the signlessness, because when all the things are like for form or feeling or whatever appears, all appearance is emptiness, and therefore you're not attached to any appearance as real. Why? You see all appearance as illusion, and therefore all appearance are illusion-like. Because of that, they're empty of fixed and permanent or independent entity in the object that appears. Object itself only appears like that from when we look from this point of view, then only it appears, but object itself doesn't look like that when you look from different point of view. And that shows, therefore, what the object appears to us is empty, like illusion, like a rainbow. When you look at a rainbow, you can see the rainbow only from the position where you're standing. But if you moved a couple of degrees somewhere else, you may not see the rainbow. The rainbow is not visible from everywhere. It's visible only from particular light and temperature and rain and all of this you can see. Like that, All appearances are appearing that way, like illusorily, but they are actually empty of the appearance. So when you're able to do that, that's called emptiness of appearances. Yeah, emptiness appearance like illusions. Now this is very good for you to meditate now. That how many appearances, things, all the things. No, this is not talking about appearance as a visual. Appearance could be appearance means form. Appearance means form here. Appearance. When we say appearance, it looks like only visual. It's not like that. That's why we need to be careful with the use of the word. So appearance doesn't mean just visual form. Appearance is also sound is appearance to the ear. And form is appearance to the eye. Yeah. So all sound also is like an illusion. You can hear them. Say somebody praises you, but when we think I'm real, I like the praise, we straight away we got really kind of puffed up, saying you become so happy because someone will praise you. It's so easy to think they are real. The appearance of we are not saying they are not generous, they're kind. We are not saying they're not generous, not kind. But to become attached to the praise becomes a problem. Them giving a praise is okay, and same goes them criticizing you. Say somebody that says really bad things about you, and if they appears to be criticizing, but you should see that as illusion. Why? Because it's when there's a grasping to I, then there will be attachment to praise and aversion to disparagement. But when there is no attachment to I, both of them are like an echo, like an echo, empty echo. So like echo. All forms are illusion. All sound are echo. Both are forms. Sound is form to the ear. Form is, objects are forms to the eye. They're basically both forms, both appearance that are emptiness. So when you are able to have that kind of, that's the emptiness. That's the appearance is devoid of real true existence. So therefore you treat them as illusion. And so, so you don't get upset if people criticize you. You don't get cheered up or puffed or because people praise you. It's only deluded sentient beings get caught up in that thing. Their name get dirty. Their name get dirty so fast. Their name get dirty because someone say a few words, bad words, and they feel so upset by it. It's such a uneducated way of looking at it, isn't it? Don't you think? So we should have this kind of benefit of Dharma. It is just you're so needy to get to praise, don't you? When you're so needy to want to praise, you're so needy to become complimented. Your own generosity was enough, but you still need to be complimented. So that is not perfection of generosity, for instance. So the person who is generous doesn't need to be complimented. The someone who receives your gift or help is making you generous, not because you giving you are generous. They're receiving what you give is making you generous. Making you feel part of that, You're giving your attention, your company to each of us is making us all being able to practice. So we need to rejoice that, When we have that, there's an amazing sense of instruction. This is the chapter number 2, the instruction. The instructions to meditate on the 3 thorough doors of liberation. First thorough door is the thorough door of emptiness. So this emptiness doesn't mean nothing. Emptiness means wholeness. It's completeness, interdependentness of the thing. So emptiness is not denial, not a denial, because Emptiness is to prevent people falling into nihilism and eternalism. And so try to save them from falling into that, and then have the instruction. What's the instruction, There's you get instruction how to get somewhere, turn this, and after that turn left, after that go there, and then you reach there. Yeah? Like that, this is instructions how to practice emptiness as thorough doors of liberation. And then signlessness is signlessness means you can't see anything. There is no form, there's no sound, there's no smell. Of course, it doesn't mean you can't smell, but there is no smell that is independently there because it is smell. If you didn't have the nose, there is no smell. Oh, really? My nose is that important? Yeah, that's right. Your nose is that important. Your nose is that important. A nose that can smell is even more important. Some people got a very big nose, but they got no idea what this. The nose is very big, but no smell. Did you notice that? So the Heart Sutra says there's no nose. We got to think about that. It's not talking about no nose, The tendon is there. The tendon is there right in front of your face. Yes, it's attached there. But there may be no olfactory consciousness. If you don't have any olfactoriness in you, then definitely your nose is just front decoration. I mean, if we chop our nose, it looks pretty incomplete, don't you think? So it's good to have a nosed person. But the nose without smell and nose without olfactory consciousness is definitely not nose. But imagine if I remove my nose and if it's sitting on the plate, people will be scared, But nose over here, it's no scaring, It's interesting, See, nose is only nose when it is here, but when the nose is on the plate, people are scared, Or maybe I cut my thumb and put on a plate. People say, "Oh, what's that thumb sitting there?" But the thumb with the rest of fingers, so quite okay, We're so used to thinking that something is real, we don't realize that the thumb is not really thumb from its own side. If it wasn't with the other four fingers, the thumb is a pretty scary thing in the middle of a... if you found a thumb inside your dinner, you'd be very... But those people eat chicken feet. I couldn't believe they eat chicken feet, I get scared in chicken feet. Some people have this, all this in Chinatown. Chicken feet, everywhere, chicken feet. They think it's really delicacy or something. Yeah, amazing. How form, they don't see the emptiness of form. They see the delicacy, the sound, smell, taste, touch, all these things. So what are we talking about here is the thorough doors of liberation and meditation, emptiness and signlessness. Whether the sign means thing that is signed, thing that is labeled, thing that is imputed. Because it's imputed, and straight away there is sign, But if it's not imputed, the thing isn't itself anything from its own side if we didn't put a sign to it. But we always grasp to signs and we discriminate between one to another. So that's the thorough doors of signlessness and the thorough doors of wishlessness. Then there you don't have to seek to attain. When you have realized emptiness, you don't seek to attain Buddhahood. Buddhahood is not a aspirational. For the beginners, we teach them to seek to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. But once you realize emptiness, Buddhahood is not a goal, not a goal that you aspire to. Yeah, don't tell that beginners. Beginners, you have to tell them they have to reach Buddhahood. they got a really purpose, they got an objectives, and and they got benefit all the sentient beings, and that doesn't exist. So you don't want to say this for yourself or beginners. So you have to say there are sentient beings and so on. But when we're talking about the main practice, that is the thorough doors of liberation of emptiness, signlessness, wishlessness. So that's the second chapter. Second chapter start with that, and then but that second chapter had its own second part, which main practice itself was divided into some 8 chapters. So I wouldn't go through all of them, such as Four Noble Truths and Refuge in the Triple Gem, and on and so on and so on. So that, and then with this, not just this term, but towards the end of last term, we start talking about the third main chapter. The third main chapter is talking about the four definitive discriminating factors of the path of preparation. So that's the 4 meditation. Four definitive factors are heat, peak, forbearance, and excellent dharma. So so when we go through those are the 4 meditation of the third chapter. Yeah. Third chapter is entirely about the 4 definite factors. So it's all about path of preparation. We talked about how to remedy the 7 obstacles of dullness and agitation in each of them. So that's chapter number 3. Then we talked about chapter number 4, which didn't have anything. It says universal holding is basically holding the bodhicitta with the realization of path of preparation. And the fifth chapter is the actual Buddha race, Buddha potential, Buddha nature, which also was very brief last week. And the 6th one last week we talked about is the armoring the 6 paramitas. The armoring 6 paramitas is not same as we were talking about armoring bodhicitta as with the intention. So of course those are understood, but now you armor that everything you do outside the session as well as in the meditation, that you try to intersect all the 6 paramitas. So it talked about the importance of what are the antitheses of the 6 parameters that you need to know, and then how to develop the actual qualities of the 6 parameters in whatever you do. So therefore that your 6 parameters are armorable by intersecting all of them in one. Say you're chanting, or say you're reading, or say you are meditating, or whatever you're doing. Or so maybe you're doing just your ordinary work. You're very, very diligently doing that, but you also have to put all the other 6 parameters in that, and so therefore that you're trying to armor all the 6 parameters, both formally in meditation and outside meditation. Now these are talking about practitioners who have reached very high levels of path of meditation. Yeah, we're not talking about beginners, but we as a beginner, we ourselves can learn to train in those things. Learn to train in these things. So that's what I was saying in this. You can you could be doing that now. It says that as you employ your effort, such as you're totally listening with your generous vesselness of the qualities of vesselness, without the faults of the 3 faults of the vessel, without distraction, without distraction, without wrong motivation, or without forgetfulness. If you listen to that, then that's generosity. That's generosity. Yeah? And then also devoid of any of the wrong ways of listening, without any kind of faults in the manner in which you listen, and you do that with lots of diligence, joyfulness. If you whatever understanding of Dharma you have, you try to use that as a cushion to inspire you to make yourself joyously engaging in the listening. Then it becomes the what the teacher can teach is just small thing, but your own joyfulness in which you are responsive and receptive, then that can completely cushion the teaching in so much that you can actually feel a lot of joyfulness. It's reconfirming some of the knowledge you have. When you hear them, you clarify them, you reiterate them. So there's a lot of diligence, joyfulness in the listening. So it's not that you're waiting for the perfect diligence to occur some other time. When you're listening to the teaching, it's a sheer hard work like a donkey's job. It's not like that. It's not like that. When you're listening to teaching, you're nearly on the top of the moon already. I try to be on the top of the moon. It's really good, really good, very good. And I can see there's some many of you are in that sort of that endeavor, which is I know I can't have that without you, And so this kind of thing, and then you're so concentrated, so unagitated, so unagitatable. So there's no kind of impatience in listening or and giving the teaching or whatever. There's amazing sense of forbearance and understanding. And as a result of that, you could see how cooperative you are. It's much of the kind of the act of the benefit of listening comes from your own improvisation of the 6 facets of the paramitas, paramitas, and then just the teaching is just a small part of it. It's just like the soil is there, the seed is there, and you're just watering there, and that everything is now all the right kind of constitutions are there. It's just like 6 parameters is just trying to make your mind be very, very well constituted. Well constituted. So it is not absent of the generosity, not absence of the right discipline, not absence of the tolerance, not absence of joyfulness, not absence of concentration, and not absence of rational mind. And so means that all of the opposite of the 6 parameters are absent in your act of listening, and it's quite meditative. Quite meditative insofar as you are actually able to reconfirm many of your understanding. You might be able to get some new kind of perception and understanding or insight. Sometimes we might think it's a new insight. Other times it's just a reconfirmation of what you previously knew, and as a result of that, you also acquire many skills. How you may employ these teachings that you are hearing now. That you know exactly where I need to apply these and that areas of that life situation where you have a little bit of a little bit of a I would say deficit of those 6 paramita qualities. Maybe in some places when you do you just have no motivation whatsoever. You say no, I'll do something else instead. Yet you are there, and you feel completely out of place, So you are having a quarrel with yourself and splitting yourself and pushing, pulling one way and not way and that kind of thing. So you just have to realize, I need this concentration at that thing, because I need to know. I know I need to do it, but when I'm doing it, my mind and concentration not there. I need this concentration at that place, and this exactly. So I'm listening not only here. I'm not only aware of these things here, but I know exactly this is what I'm needing. I was missing this bit, this puzzle, this piece of the puzzle I was missing. That no wonder I couldn't finish that thing. so you try to look at the various pieces of puzzle of the 6 parameter board, and you can see that, and how interdependent these things are. By means of employing all of these things, you realize that 6 parameters need to be intersected, and that is the called armoring. So that was the last week's topic, and now are you meditating? Yeah, you're meditating as I'm speaking. It's very good. Even I'm talking on this. I'm trying to do the same. It's quite a different thing, because usually we are always looking something objectively. What is it? What is over there? We are not actually at the same time consciously, receptively meditative state, because this is the level of this chapter 6 and 7 is well in the path of meditation. I mean, we might be rehearsing, we just a bit imagining, sure, but we have to first imagine. Everything is an imagination. We have to become better at imagining that we are conceiving bodhicitta, and with that bodhicitta, we put on that hat, and we wear the hat of the bodhisattva, and we wear the hat of not only the beginner bodhisattva that you wear, we wear the hat of the bodhisattvas who are always in that kind of meditative state of the 3 thorough doors of liberation, and then how they engage in everyday activities with great grace and dignity and confidence and joyfulness and emptiness, of course, and when you're able to do that, you can definitely see the degree of the energy. You can almost experience. You can actually experience. They say that for the yogis with meditation have experiential perceptions. Yeah, it doesn't mean necessarily you have to go in a cave and sit there so many hours. Of course, that is definitely recommended. But even before that, you got to have some kind of snippets of experiences of a yogi by looking at this teaching and deeply listening and deeply hearing and deeply heeding to them, and then you could actually feel the kind of sensations and experiences that actually makes you feel completely implementing the 6 parameters. This brings us to tonight's topic of 7th chapter. 7th chapter is called engaging. Engaging means actually very actively participating. So this is exactly what we're talking about. How you actively participate, not as a passively listening to someone talking this, and not thinking that someone doing the teaching and we just listen. It's not like that. Of course, it is in a formal, it's in a kind of conventional level, it is like that. But there is a time that we need to be completely with it ourselves. So this refers to the actual participation with all the facets of the 6 paramatha by engaging oneself with the resultant vehicle. Resultant vehicle is where you employ the wisdom. A causal vehicle is with the first parameters. So when the both first five and last sixth one are combined together, and then there is this amazing active participation, actively engaging. There is no time that you are not in meditative state. Like when in the Heart Sutra says, at that time the Bodhisattva, Avalokiteshvara enter into profound meditation, eliminate. He just conventionally, sure as he's entering into meditation, he's getting up from meditation, but actually he's always in meditation. There's always meditation. It's like the lamp. If you see that oil lamp burning, it's always burning. Not only when you look at it, only when you don't look at it, there's always a point burning all the time. So your attention and awareness of the bodhicitta should be constantly engaged. Constantly engaged. So this has two. This has two. One, you're constantly engaged for your own practice. Another is constantly engaging for the benefit of others. And because you have some duties, your bodhisattva have taken some responsibility and made some promise, and now bodhicitta is engaging with his conduct. Bodhicharya avatara means one who's engaging constantly. Even when you go to bed, you still is engaging bodhicitta. And you can't say, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry, you guys can do. But those are just conventionally, everybody is rushing, dipping into the sea, and then you didn't want to dip in. Doesn't mean that you didn't engage in the water. Yes, you didn't get engaged, but you still engage in bodhicitta. So doesn't mean you have to drink because everybody's drinking. Otherwise, you feel you're not taking part in it or support. Engaging bodhicitta means engaging for the benefit of yourself and others. First is to stabilize your mind. Your mind. And when you are stabilizing your mind, then one trains to engage, to attend 4 stages of the concentration of the meditative state. So in the path of meditation, you actually go through the 4 stages of meditation of the formless realm. Formless realm we call infinite consciousness, infinite sky, namkatha, state of nothing, and beyond that. So there's actually four meditative state of the 4 meditative stages of the formless realm, and that's actually very high. But 4 meditative stages of formless realm is basically practicing the 4 immeasurables. When you do the 4 immeasurable loving kindness, like we chant every teaching session, is actually the cause of attaining, going beyond the four stages of the formless meditation. 4 formless meditation of the Brahma and all those, they reach there. But once meditation with bodhicitta motivation should be the qualities of the infinite loving kindness, infinite compassion. So you're engaging all the time in the 4 immeasurables. Yeah. Not just when you're saying the 4 immeasurables, but you're always engaging in the 4 immeasurables. Engaging in the 4 immeasurable meaning loving kindness, because majority of sentient beings, all the sentient beings want happiness, but very few of them have any of that. And they're completely incapacitated by their self-cherishing. And you see that so obvious, how they themselves are incapacitated by their own self-centeredness. They all want happiness, they all deserve happiness, but they don't know the cause of happiness is selflessness. So they're incapacitated by their self-centeredness. And you could not switch your mind off from knowing that. And that is the engaged. Engage for oneself and for others, constantly in the meditation on the immeasurable of loving kindness. And these are, of course, your loving kindness, infinite loving kindness meditative state isn't only infinite loving kindness meditation when you're saying it. Even you're not saying it, you're always in that state. You're engaged. You're engaged in the loving kindness meditative state. Sometimes as a prayer, may they have happiness, a cause of happiness. Sometimes I will make sure that they'll get, so in the form of determination. Sometimes as a pledge, I will make them to have happiness, a cause. So constantly engage in the meditative state of loving kindness. Sometimes as a dedication, you're dedicating, if there's a good sunny day, or whatever it is, a lovely flower, or lovely whatever, everything is lovely. When you're in this meditative state, everything is lovely. Everything's cause of your delight. And you always dedicate that for beings to have happiness, a cause of happiness. May, as a result of this, may all beings be free from, have happiness and cause of happiness. So you are constantly engaged, because there is no time you're not in meditative state. This is because you're on the path of meditation. Path of meditation is stream, enter, stream, not only enter, non-returner, once is no return, and you're constantly, it's gone beyond the arhathood, You're constantly now, the stream has entered and stream is entering, stream is flowing continuously, just like the lamp is continuously burning, just like the river is continuously flowing. They call it samadhi of continuous flow of a stream. Samadhi of continuous flow of a stream is that continuously you have loving kindness. Even somebody is really attacking you, even really accusing you, even they do awful things to your mother or brother or somebody, but still your loving kindness continuously staying engaged, like the river that's flowing, because you happen to be in that, what we call engage into the entry of the stream of meditative state, only comparable to the meditation of the formless REM meditation. Formless REM, 4 samadhis of the formless REM meditation. It's just like a form of jhana, form of deep meditative absorptions. And a loving kindness definitely that is real mindfulness of loving kindness. Real mindfulness of loving kindness is that you're continuously in that state of loving kindness, of meditation towards other sentient beings. Because may all living beings have happiness and cause of happiness, and may I be able to cause them. May I pledge them to do it. I'm determined to do it. You dedicate everything you have for the sake of realizing that kind of constancy of your engagement to the loving kindness, and for that matter, also the 6 parameters, generosity. You're constantly in the ripe state of mind to practice generosity. If you have to be, someone has to be generous, and it's got to be you, because you are continually entering in that stream. That's why they give arms, that they give legs, give, of course, doing anything for any sentient being. You don't say no. You don't say no, because what is it? How many times you have come and died for nothing, but if you give something for somebody, so the bodhisattva reaches stages where they can actually give things that normally they would never give. We usually give what things we don't need, or we give things because we have access. Oh, I read it already, you can have it, and that sort of thing. Going to get something the person really needs, but you just deliberately go and get it just so that to make them happy, just to make them happy, and you wanted to have the experience of making someone happy. Even if it's very short-lived, at least you made somebody smile, and that is your commitment. That is the engaged stream of continuity, like a river that is continuously blowing. A river doesn't say, "No, I don't want to blow." The river coming in Europe, "Oh, I don't want to go through Bulgaria. I want to go over there." No, river just doesn't discriminate. River doesn't discriminate. It continues to flow. Like that, a bodhisattva has this kind of continuously flowing in the stream with a very firmly stabilized mind stream to practice the 4 immeasurables and 6 parameters. And because they remember the vow, the bodhicitta, and their purpose is to make somebody happy. you know. And what you're doing might be temporary, but at least you can, when somebody is happy, then that is cause of your being useful to someone. You know, maybe right now you're giving them just contaminated happiness. You know, maybe just a pair of jeans or a nice shoulder bag or I don't know, whatever it is. You know, you just give them because you know, you wouldn't believe how happy they are. You know, you just give change, a couple of golden change, a couple of dollars to the people in the street. Did you notice how much it makes them happy? You know, it's really good to practice generosity, and you wouldn't believe. Some people's their karma is such that they are dependent on generosity people, and if there were 100 people going past them, if one of them gave, it will give them hope of humanity. They have such a karma that they have to be dependent on someone's generosity. And majority of people walk past and they don't want to help. Because they don't think it's a cause of happiness. They think it's a spoiled, or why he's doing this, why we have to do that. They should go somewhere and fill the form or whatever. That's filling the form. Why don't you help them fill the form? That definitely, you wouldn't believe. Have you noticed if you give a tip, just $2 tip, how much it makes a difference? Amazing. Small act of kindness that it doesn't make huge difference, but it does make amazing difference by generosity. Loving kindness, may all beings have happiness. But practice kindness to one in front of you. Pray for everyone. May all beings have happiness, cause happiness. And you just the eyes rolling up, and it just looks very sincere, and there's no doubt about it, you really meant it. But just do it. Just make somebody smile. It's amazing. And when you have that done a few times, your own happiness is come from nowhere. You didn't know. Being generous to others give you more happiness than keeping in your wallet. So, and you have to have discovered that beautiful lamp constantly burning, that amazing stream that continuously flowing, and so your bodhicitta is now is just undry. It's not going to dry. It's continuous to flow, and that wetness will moisturize the kindness within you and sentient beings, and so you should be. So therefore, this is called chapter 7 is engaging diligently in the conduct of a bodhisattva, and so much so he is doing to ripen sentient beings. Ripen means make them smile, make them find hope, make them they don't have to stay thirsty for next 2 hours, or make them feel sort of disappointed because they've been sitting on the corner of the street, everybody else wearing nice suit and nice business wallet or briefcase, walk past, but who want to give that? How many are beggars there anyway in Australia? They're not. There's 1 or 2 people, poor thing, they just had recently some very difficult time, and even their family wouldn't understand them, and they are misunderstood, and they're in a really difficult place. And helping someone like that is a good way to do that, because society is full of generosity. But most generosity is completely controlled generosity. They are not spontaneous generosity. So therefore, one needs to engage, to ripen somebody, to make them happy, and temporarily what you gave makes them happy, but in the end they will know generosity makes them happy. It's not the amount. $2 not cause of happiness, but fact you gave. Yeah. Fact you gave, Amazing. The $2 going from your right hand to left hand doesn't make any difference. Or going from there to your wallet or whatever. But that $2 to somebody who might be needing it, because generosity word dana comes from the word darida ana. Darida ana means to alleviating sense of destitution. And by your giving, they don't feel destitute of a friend. It will not make them rich, but they don't feel destitute of a friend because someone did give them a hand and they feel, oh, they found a friend who understood their plight. Yeah. Once whose destitution has been alleviated. So dana comes from the word alleviation of destitution and poverty, of love, of care, of kindness. Loving kindness is a generosity. Compassion has to be generosity. Not generosity, not only giving money, generosity with understanding. If someone is misunderstood by everyone, you just try to understand what must be like to be misunderstood by so many, and then you try to show them moral support and give them, so they don't feel they have no one. They have no one who will understand. They feel so miserable. They hate it. They don't like it, and some of them turn violent because they think the school that fired him, he goes get a gun and go and shoot all the school classroom. He just felt he was faced destitution of a friend, a person who understand him. Nobody wants to understand him. Nobody wants to hold his hand and look in his eyes. How can I do for you? Everybody is chastising, looking down, and so on. He felt completely destitute of anyone who could be willing to understand. The bodhisattva has to do that to understand and to alleviate their sense of destitution of a friend. So generosity is not giving money necessarily. We talk about giving material possession, fearlessness. Yeah, he's afraid he has no friend. Now you have completely proven him wrong that you have given your friendship to the person. And therefore the person feels alleviation of his destitution. This is generosity. We have to understand. This is engaging the generosity, is understanding what must be like to be them, have no happiness and only sorrow. If it's particularly someone else can alleviate his sorrow, if someone else can make him happy, who is going to be willing to do that? Anyone should be. Anyone next to him should be able to do that, only if they themselves has the mental constitution of engaging. They call engaged Buddhist. It means you just do it. Just go and do it. What do you have to do? No, I'm not interested. No, I don't know him. Oh, I don't want to spoil another beggar on the street. That sort of attitude. as if we have too many beggars because we spoil them. Give him an understanding. Your little care or your little engaging of generosity to somebody might completely make your life meaningful. Wow. Why did I waste all my time doing other things when I can do small acts of kindness like this? Like the story of Asanga. He stayed 12 years meditating and he didn't see any truth. But the moment that he just wanted to care for this poor dog whose body was infected by thousands of maggots, when he just wanted to care for the dog and remove the maggots by leaking them, and when he give this unconditional compassion, it completely, this is what we're talking about. And Maitreya said, you are not engaging in loving kindness. You're wanting to see me. That's the problem. Seeing me is no problem, no point if you have no loving kindness. If you practice loving kindness, it's better than seeing me, because even Maitreya is a symbol of loving kindness. And what's the point of hugging someone whose name is loving kindness when you don't practice loving kindness? So that's exactly the Asanga story like that, When he engaged in loving kindness and compassion to the dog, his Maitreya just appeared out of nowhere. It means that's exactly how you ripen yourself, by engaging in the practice of the loving kindness, and of course engaging also practice of compassion, because it says you need to practice the 4 immeasurables to engage yourself. Engage with train yourself. First, you have to train that. Like say you can do like we are talking right now. We just mentally try to train yourself, and then of course when you have sufficiently trained yourself in that way, then you actively engage a perfect condition for others. So then you go and experiment it. Now you know how to do. Now you just go and do it, and then the intention and the actual deeds to ripen others. So this is what we mean. So starting with loving kindness, and then because when you show loving kindness to someone like the beggar on the street or something, and then he or she really become so happy that you gave them or you helped them or whatever, and then the more you get to know someone who's suffering, your loving kindness will actually get to know their real sufferings. Or you didn't realize how much they're suffering. And before you were just making them make them happy for a little while, but later on, your loving kindness should now take the next level of compassion. 4 immeasurables are in sequence. You first practice loving kindness, and it's like you are starting to develop to repay the kindness of your mother. That when you really want to repay kindness of mother, because you're very feeling loving towards her, the more you get to sit with her and talk to her, then you're starting to know her physical, emotional, and all the difficulties. Then you almost empathize her suffering. So then you should be willing to suffer with the other person's suffering. So that's engaged Buddhism. Most people don't want to suffer with other people's suffering. They just wanted to help a little bit, and then take off. They don't want to sit in the same puddle in which the person is drowned. They don't want to suffer with the other. That's the problem. They don't want to have suffering people in their life. They don't want to have problem people in their life. And how could they practice bodhicitta? How could they practice engaged bodhicitta when they have no tolerance, no compassion? So therefore one needs to engage to practice compassion like the bodhicitta, loving kindness before. So firstly, like when you practice compassion, you will first of all show the determination I must practice compassion to sentient beings to be free from suffering and cause of suffering. And make a pledge that I will do it myself to make them free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And then you pray to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, may all beings be free from suffering, cause of suffering. Then you make a commitment, a dedication. May the merit of me having these teachings or whatever, may the sentient beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. So in this way, one needs to firstly develop the empathy or closeness that we usually don't feel with people with problem and suffering. We only want to help when it's convenient, when we don't have to, when we don't have to, go through any troubles. That's not compassion. Compassion is suffering with. Compassion means you have a Tibetan word for compassion is nyingje, means Lord of the heart. You have the Lord of the heart. That you have the heart of the one who sees the plight of other and then willing to rescue their suffering, and like you are the king who has the power, who have power to put his subject out of misery, isn't it? And that you have this amazing heart that is willing to suffer with the person with empathy, and not reject them from their suffering, their problem, but seeing their suffering also don't truly exist, and even their sufferings are impermanent, and their suffering are the great benefactor for your usefulness as bodhisattva. So one is amazing. One has this amazing, instead of rejecting the person with suffering, you are embracing and accepting. You're not angry, you're not denying, you're not bargaining, you're actually accepting them, that their suffering is good for my remedy for my pride. Their suffering is cause for my compassion. Their suffering is cause for my patience, and so on. Their suffering is cause of my own purification of their karma as well as mine. So when you are able to do that, then you are engaging with suffering sentient beings. You're not sort of being like remote control kind of bodhisattva. From the far you can throw some pennies, but you don't want to go near the people who are suffering. You actually engage in alleviating the sufferings of sentient beings. Now this is talking about meditation. You have to be in that kind of meditation all the time, continuously, like stream of the water flowing. Always, when you think about the suffering world, you wouldn't have any shortage of examples to meditate on compassion. Enormous, from the 6 realms. Just the human realm suffering is just bad enough. You just don't have to go anywhere, but human suffering itself, oh goodness gracious, the sum of the problem that people have towards each other, how mean and how cruel and how righteous and how negative that people are. You look at this, gosh, just over that issue they go on that length to make things like that. No wonder why people have misery after misery, because they are just perpetuating it by their own unconscious action. So you feel deeply saddened, like a king over the plight of his subjects, like the Thai king over his subject. Thai king is really, and the Bhutanese king too. And those kings are not there by accident. They definitely are there by their merit of past life to be in that. And they have amazing. They really look after some of the subject they see as if they are in pain themselves. Like the Buddha did not have any comfort of the palace life when he saw the sufferings of the sentient beings. He could not spend another day in the comfort and luxury of a palace when he saw the samsaric sentient beings languishing in terrible sufferings of sickness and old age, disharmony, decadent life. When he saw that, he just said, I got to get out. I got to find a way, find a medicine for all of these terrible problems that nobody should have, but yet no leaders have done anything about it. And I'm supposed to be a leader or king, and I don't get to do from my palace. I need to go. What is the fundamental cause of this tyranny of samsara? And that compassion that he engendered and made him to leave the palace is just like the engage bodhicitta, engaging himself into the true act of compassion. Compassion is not kind of a convenient job. Compassion is very, very painful, but most useful to be alive is when we are compassionate. We are useful only when we are helpful in alleviating someone else's sorrow. Just because we have no sorrow, it's not considered to be useful. Just looking after oneself is not the purpose of life. Everybody wants to live for the sake of others, and they want to be useful for another 10 months or another 10 years or whatever. If they have no use to give to others, and quite a lot of people, they actually know they have no benefit that they can offer to others, and they wish to die. And sometimes that is the case, yeah. But as long as one has that function of staying engaged in benefiting sentient beings, of course, therefore, one need to use loving kindness and compassion, and then joyfulness as well. Joyfulness. When one is helping sentient beings, there should be a lot of joy. It's a true reason to be joyful is when one is starting to do something selfless and totally for the sake of others. It's amazingly joyful. And it's almost like, oh, this is all the purpose of my education, all the purpose of listening to Dharma, studying Dharma, is so that we can actually do something for the benefit of others, and then you really lived joyful. Then you really have the joyful. And I don't think you get sick, It's just, even you get sick, it doesn't really bother you. It's just, you don't talk about your sickness. It's just part of life. You don't say, I have leg this, I don't need the legs, It's just part of life, And if you've got a problem with the leg, that's part of the leg, unless you want to get rid of the leg, So you just accept the whole thing. And therefore there's a lot of joy that you can be useful. Yeah, generosity with joyfulness. Then the generosity, discipline with joyfulness. Lots of people observe discipline with a sort of foul face. It's no point, Why they're so stern and so serious? Why they don't have the joy of observing whatever they're observing? Because they lack the engaging with the Bodhisattva's joy. So a lot of people don't understand joyfulness. They think the practitioner should be somber and stern and serious and what do you call, and very conservative, cold and yeah. Don't we have enough of those people anyway? So why can't we bring the joy and delight in helping the difficult, And so that if one sees doing miserable, you have to be so miserable and stern and stiff and so cold and so right and so wrong, that kind of thing. It doesn't inspire anybody. So that's why the Mahayana teachings had to come. It had to really come. It had to be well pronounced in the 4th century. It cannot stay in the closet anymore. It has to come out to make a difference, because such kind of a stern, kind of exclusive model of practitioner, India was full of it. Buddhism didn't need to come at all. If it wasn't Mahayana, there was enough mendicant that are really, really ascetic, self-modifying practices, very serious, right? This is the only way, self-modification, penance, discipline, strict observance of all the things. And they think that's the way to attain the heaven. There's so many of them. So Buddha did have no reason to come. If it wasn't the bodhicitta, there was enough self-mortification, enough penance, practicing religious tradition, enough of those things. If the bodhicitta cannot be crystallized, what does it do? And that's why the Mahayana, the teaching of the perfection wisdom, is the distinctive flavor of the Buddha Dharma. They say that Buddhas appear, but some of the Buddhas only teach the renunciation and self-control, moderation of food, but they don't teach the Mahayana, let alone Vajrayana. Only the Shakyamuni Buddha are the rare Buddha, who teach all the 3 vehicles. And so those who totally understand Bodhisattva's way of life is to train in that, in the loving kindness, in the compassion, in the joyfulness in doing all the above. And then an equanimity. Equanimity is not seeking compliment, not seeking recognition, even you can't help some people, you try your best, but you don't get disappointed because you're still equanimous, and if you fix all the problems of sentient being too quickly, you wouldn't have much thing to do. So equanimity is good. Even you help so many sentient beings speedily over a week, but you still have to be very equanimous. You don't feel how many are liberated sentient beings. You don't go and score the point. Equanimity is almost like you are almost like nothing. What you did is nothing. It's emptiness. Remember that. Silentness. Remember that. Wishlessness. There. Remember that. So one becomes so puffed up of having done something, get attached to them, is not emptiness. Has to still be in that 3 thorough doors of liberation. And therefore, once you are able to engage in the 6 parameters and 4 immeasurables continuously, then it says, then it is to train in the non-observation of the object. So then you actually, you're not specifically looking what object to which you practice this thing, because you're not objectifying anything, So non-objectification of the practice is is necessary for the practitioner himself, but not relatable by others, not relatable by others, because others can't relate to you, your non-observation of the object. Because it's called non-objectification. Non-objectification means there isn't anything, form or feeling or objects or that truly exists by itself. From the meditative samadhi point of view, there is no object to observe. And therefore, you meditate on the reason why there is a non-observation of the object is because you're meditating in the interdependent origination of the 3 circles, the object circle, subject circle, and action circle. So these 3 are mutually inclusive. So there is no object that is independently exists, or the subject that independently exists, or action that independently exists. Because they are interdependently originated, therefore it's called training in the non-observation of the object. And as a result of you doing that, then it becomes meaningful. It becomes meaningful to you who do it, to whom you do it, and the consequences of that to others. The meaningful is like that. Not just meaningful to you, not just meaningful to the person, but meaningful to others. Like Asanga. When Asanga practiced loving kindness to the dog and compassion to the dog, it became meaningful for him, meaningful for the dog, meaningful for the. Ever since then, it's saying that loving kindness surpasses enlightenment. Loving kindness surpasses enlightenment. So if you got enlightened and disappear without leaving all your shoes behind, so what, So that's neither here nor there, We have to empty his garage, He didn't have time to leave his will. So what's there about? They say if someone practiced loving kindness to someone, all the Buddhas will be delighted. They say. All the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will be delighted, and that person is blessed by Buddhas because he practiced loving kindness. Even practicing different stages of meditation is so that you continually practice loving kindness. And this person slowly will have gained 6 clairvoyances. 6 clairvoyants are referring to the visual clairvoyance, auditory clairvoyance, and so on. And then almost like the Buddha is the one who is now, he can see your past, he will know what you become if you do this. All his understanding of law of karma is clairvoyance, because he can see actually all the causes, conditions. And also we become somewhat, if I say this will not go very well. why say it? If I even you don't really want to say it, but if I could say this will really be good. Oh yes, that will be very good. Let's do that. Oh, very good, a good idea. And straight away you have almost like you can foresee the benefit in the future, even though it's very difficult to say now. But your mind is now so wired up that you will do that because you can see the future benefit of it. Never mind the present effort that is required of you. So almost like person knows the investment. He knows what will be the return. People have to go to consult finance people. Hopefully finance people give you clairvoyant advices of the financial ups and downs. I don't think so. They only get the fees themselves. I don't know about your investment. We're talking about being clairvoyant about your thoughts and what your thought will do if you're not careful. What your intention will do if you better choose them. Clairvoyance of your own thought. And ultimately trying to gain to empower other sentient beings. Then your practice of the engagement has power to benefit other beings, ripen other sentient beings. Like the Buddha Dharma. Amazing. Buddha Dharma is amazing discovery. They might say radium is a great discovery, gravitation is a great discovery. I mean, even if nobody discovered an apple will constantly fall down if you don't pick it up. All the ripened fruit will drop on the floor, whether someone discovered gravitation or not. Just an explanation why fruit drops. You don't have to know gravitation to know why fruit drops. To say that why fruit drops is because of gravitation is not real knowledge, But if there was no ground, will the fruit drop? Drop where? So when the Buddha Dharma knows the cause of happiness is selflessness, and it's almost like you're always engaging in selflessness. Whenever you do selfless things, whether it's thinking selflessly or feeling selflessly or doing selflessly or saying selflessly, and then it will have this mutually inclusive benefit of accomplishing all the six perfection in every small act you do. So there's no danger of you missing the practice of engagement. Engagement is the engaging very conscientiously how all the facets of the six paramitas and four immeasurable should be employed into your everyday to-day activities. When you're able to do that, so this practice therefore engages you with whatever you're doing. There is no time you're not engaging. Like there is no time the river is not flowing. There's no time that sun is not shining. Likewise, there's no time that one's bodhicitta is not engaging. Even when you go to sleep, you can sleep. You can go to bed with bodhicitta motivation. Because you're always praying regularly, you're always meditating regularly. You also will have dreams of bodhicitta, dreams of doing selfless things, dreams of giving something, dreams of practicing tolerance, dreams of practicing compassion, dreams of witnessing somebody practicing compassion to you and how much you were delighted. There you wouldn't have dreams of running all the time, somebody chasing you. You don't have those dreams because they are not into your day thoughts. Why should they pop up in night thoughts? So when your day thought is constantly engaged in this bodhisattvic kind of mentality of not forgetting bodhicitta, and your meditation is now continuously flowing, and then your dream, even in the night, is all about meeting bodhisattvas, learning from others, And even in dream, you can see somebody practicing kindness to others, and then you feel so much glad. You see somebody giving something to somebody, you become so happy, rejoicing, and so on. And yourself practicing them sometimes even, you will therefore you will see them in your dreams. Why? Because your mind actually tend to experience dreams what you do during the day. All the day thoughts tend to repeat, whether it's hope in the future, whether it's a kind of disappointment of the past. If you haven't still let go of them, they keep reoccurring dreams. And if you're currently doing something very, very productive, and then your heart and mind is really, really enthused and motivated by these practices, you feel completely engaged, even in the dream, that you are not only practicing those 4 immeasurables and 6 parameters with every sentient beings, but actually you can actually have these kind of monologues to yourself in the dream. You could have really, really useful dream during which the teachings are. Some people get up in the night, from the night sleep. In the morning, the teachings came alive in the dreams, and when they wake up, they completely change person. Change person. I mean, they change person all the time, but they don't really see this kind of positive changes. If you enter your consciousness with this kind of continuous flow of uninterrupted flow of bodhicitta, there is no time you're not meditating. You are continuously meditating. You're continuously practicing. You need to do it, whatever is necessary to do, what you have, did what had to be done. They say Bodhisattva have to do what he had to do. And sometimes he has to play the underdog. Sometimes he has to take all the abuse, all the wrong things, all the problems, all the accusation, all the sufferings, all the things. It's very useful for the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva never grow unless Bodhisattvas experience these things. Bodhisattva don't see anything inappropriate. For Bodhisattva has this transformative machine he has got. He can transform everything. He can recycle everything. For him there is no black, no white. Everything is just depends to your attitude. If your attitude is good, if people are hard on you, it's still good for you. If your attitude is not good, even people are so nice to you, it will ruin you because you are so full of yourself. So one is constantly mindful, engaged to mind one's own attitude. That's engaged bodhicitta. Because all the problems have been only caused by selfishness, and now he's completely arrested that. Now he's completely conquering the very real thing. And now he doesn't have to waste anything out there. Now there's no problem out there that he has to conquer, that he has to clear his name and all the rubbish. Now he just have to stay mindful of how to stay guarding of this very attitude of bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is the highest object and subject of meditation. And how could we possibly forget it? Because it gives so much joy and delight and usefulness of your whole experiences, not just pleasant experience, even what might be very difficult experience. They all are completely transmutable. They're all completely transmutable because now the very core of the problem, self-cherishing, self-grasping, and object grasping as truly existing is not there. It sees everything as empty and signlessness. From its own side, it doesn't have sign. From its own side, it's empty. It is empty of what appears. It is empty of the sign, the label you gave. And because of that, object themselves has no objectivity in itself. Object is completely an empty label upon which you're sticking the labels. When you don't put the labels, the object doesn't have any independent existence. You don't have to objectify an object that doesn't exist, that didn't condition in your mind. So all objects are conditioning of the mind, concerning a thing, and the thing is giving a label, then the object is reduced to that label. The label, yeah. Unless you unlabel the object, the thing now stuck on the forehead like a label. So we need to remove those labels. We need to recognize how we're labeling, how we're conditioning to label something, and as soon as we do the labeling, how the object just looks so truly existing as soon as you put the label. But the moment you take the label out, the object seems to have a very little standing or existence or entityness in itself. So the signing is not doing by not imputing. If you don't impute, the sign doesn't stick on the object, and then the object itself doesn't have a leg to stand on. So emptiness, signlessness, and wishlessness is pretty much a subjective cooperative consciousness. When you're subjectively operating yourself and how not to impute, how not to label in your head, because if you're thinking of a thing, name, object, because name, then the object appears straight away, But otherwise, there's no object that has got any form. There's no form, Form is emptiness, it says. But emptiness of form is not allowed to remain emptiness when you put a sticker there. Particularly a sticker with the labels that you wrote, So usually the object only appears that things we have imputed and labeled and put the sticker or name on the object. So we need to unlabel it. This learning to unlabel that, and knowing it's merely labeled, and then merely labeled is no difficulty to merely remove it. Because you're not going to lose anything that is merely not there. You just merely made it appear as it does. Now, because it is merely labeled, and you merely remove the label, and what are you losing? No, you're not losing. You're proving the emptiness of something. And when you have put a label in your own mind, particularly if you have a kind of fixed view of someone in your life, and you don't like them, just check. Is it because you think that they are this, or they are themselves that? Just think. Really, really useful. Very good meditation, analytical meditation on the signlessness and emptiness of the object. How the object is your thought about the object, or the object itself. So object itself is empty of the thing. But once you have signed it, once you label it, then the object has nothing. Object could not appear emptiness, because object is completely busy being the form that you yourself merely and unconsciously imputed. And you think the object is truly existing from its own side, without remembering that I'm the one who designated, I'm the one who labeled, I'm the one who said my father is alcoholic. Poor man, he's not drinking at all, but we think he still is alcoholic. So what do we have to do? Your attitude has to be brought to soberness first. Unless you remove that designation that your mind is given, the object will appear apparitionally as real to you. So the problem isn't the object. Problem is because we think object is truly independently existing without remembering how it was merely labeled, conceptualized by us. When you do that, then you're removing the curse on yourself and the other. And then, of course, it is almost like delaying your friendship, delaying the happiness, delaying the joyfulness, devoid of sorrow, to oneself and others and everyone else. And this is where the continuous ability to practice the six intersection of the six parameters, the four immeasurables together, can be a continuous way of how our attitude should be facilitated. and see what you're seeing, Just see the difference it makes. And if that doesn't make you clairvoyant doesn't mean you are going to read somebody's past and all that. Don't worry about those. Clairvoyance is those people do the tarot card reading. We're not talking about that kind of clairvoyance here. The tarot card reader doesn't know whether how many clients he will get on Saturday, but yet he thinks he knows about the other people. So we're not talking about that kind of clairvoyance. Clairvoyance doesn't say I know about you. Clairvoyance is talking about himself, cognitive of his own attitude, and what he shouldn't allow this attitude to do this way or that way, because he knows the effect it will have in the future. That's the clairvoyance. He can see and restrain the present impulses, knowing what it will be resulted in the near future if I follow this impulse. And then, therefore, being able to exercise restraint. That's clairvoyance. It's mindfulness practice. Mindfulness practice shouldn't be, mindfulness practice, because you basically see the cause and effect, Effect is going to be very much similar to the intention of what you do. If intention is one of aggression and righteousness and enmity and anger and so on, of course one knows it's going to have a very severe consequences, and knowing that and exercising restraint is clairvoyance. To train in the kind of a subjective awareness of one's thought, and the thought having consequences in the future. Not to mention speech or deeds having present deeds and words have consequences in the future. And of course that's very obvious. But here we are talking about cognitive of the attitude themselves needing to be, because nobody knows how to mind attitude, But a practitioner of bodhisattva in this path does know exactly how to mind that. So we're going to conclude there, everyone. Of course, we're not going to conclude doing this. Keep the flow of the river flowing. You can really see how it will sharpen your sense doors. It will bring some brightness to you. So that concludes this seventh chapter of what we call the engaging in the 6 parameters and the 4 immeasurables into every situations in your life. So thank you, everybody. You've been very dedicated, diligent, and thank you. We will do the dedication merits of these teachings. Mahayana Buddhist manjushine azamadabadadilava follow odehezambu nedehezalambodijeda tebe erenayeranza veras bembamedengri Prelevedad generation. Thank you, everyone.